Dgenz Crypto Weekly with Frens, episode 52, the anniversary special with OK Bears family, including Kai's, coming right up.
Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Let's go. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Let's go. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Ooh. Needing those gains so quickly. Oh, yeah. Let's break through the chains as we're so feeling strange. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Oh, yeah. Crypto Weekly, here we come. Making dollars on the run. Speaking freely, also dearly, quite clearly. Our shit coins are getting spun. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Ooh. Needing those gains so quickly. Oh, yeah. Let's break through the chains as we're so feeling strange. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Oh, yeah. Let's get it right. We got it solid on the dials, making everyone smile. Terry's got the magic touch, showing shit coins that are much to be desired and loved, like teddy bears and hugs. We collect them all, no dumping. Anyone tell me when they're pumping? Do what you want. Oh, yeah. Do what you want. Oh, yeah. Whatever you do, it's on you. Oh, yeah. Whatever you do, it's on you. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Needing those gains so quickly. Oh, yeah. Let's break through the chains. Injustice get the reins. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Oh, yeah. Let's get it right. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Ooh. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. That's all. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Ooh. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Oh, yeah.
What a jam. What a jam. I love that track. It's so good. Welcome, everyone. It is good morning to some people. It is good night to some of us here. How y'all doing? Name is Chart. It is the Dgenz Crypto Weekly with Frens, episode 52, the anniversary special. Yeah, we made it to 1 year anniversary. Can you believe that? Terry, can you believe that? Terry's here. How's it going, Terry?
Yeah, it's going good. Yeah, the unmute button's in a different spot here. No, great. Stoked to be a part of this. Yeah, I'm glad we managed to keep it rolling. I may have been here for the entire year, certainly not a part of the streams, but super, super excited about this. I'm looking to the future.
Yeah, it's great we made it this far. I know it's very difficult to keep the energy up for every single week, and I'm proud we managed to get to that point. And it's nice to see familiar faces in here as well. Crypto Crazy, thank you again for being here pretty much every single time. So how are you doing?
It's my pleasure, Chart. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Market's looking up, so I'm, a little bit of euphoric and hype for what's to come.
Oh, don't lead into that. We'll get to that in a second because we got lots to talk about. Unfortunately, our co-chief in Stylist is now with us. She's currently tending a personal situation, aka picking up her kid, and so we sympathize with her. But whenever she gets around to be Stylist, whenever you get a chance, we'll see each other soon. And last but not least, or not least, it is Kai's. Hello, everyone from Down Under. Welcome to episode 52, Kai. How's it going?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me, and congrats on making it for a full year. Consistency is pretty hard in the space, so props.
Oh, thank you. And it's very difficult to keep the same energy too, because we need to talk about crypto all the time, and not every day or every week is going to be bullish. So it's really difficult to bring that bullish vibe to every single space that we host. And so, yeah, I am actually proud that we made it this far, especially now that we're seeing the other side of this bear market, right? Like Crypto Crazy was just talking about how, we're just about to approach this bull run. I'm so excited to talk about that. I'm so excited to talk about okay bears, because this is our special episode. We're gonna dive into all okay bears, all the things that are important, including the apparel store. Like, I know we didn't talk about this earlier, but I know you dropped some hints about that, and we want to dive into that. We want to dive into the revamped ticket system on the 3 platform. I want to talk about the overall need to expand the 3 platform, because I think there's a lot of value in that. And let's share our stories, because I'm interested in to hear your origin story. What is brought you to Web3? Because not every path is the same, and I think a lot of us take different routes to get to this point. I know my route was very weird, because my introduction to crypto was through an article that I read in a newspaper, of all things, and it was about a Kanye West coin. It was called Kanye, and there was an article about Kanye West suing the founders of this coin, and I thought that's odd. Why would anyone do that? And then I just said, what is a Bitcoin, and what do you mean you can mine it, and what do you mean it's a decentralized ledger and it stays on forever and you can make money off of this? I said, okay, here we go, right? And for me, it was a matter of just time before I dove right into it. And 2 months later, I'm buying mining equipment and setting up shop, trying to mine all kinds of stuff. And the rest is history. But I'm curious to see, what brought you to Web3, because it's not easy just to dive in.
No, it really isn't. And I think we really underestimate the learning curve required to even get to a place to find Web3. I think that's the first thing. It's such a unique corner of one social media app. And you don't really get here very easily. And then once you are here, I think, getting set up and being able to make your first purchase, whether that's coins, NFTs, is also not that simple. It's gotten easier these days. But 3 years ago, you were kind of having to do all kinds of things to get set up. But for me, it's a combination of everything that I was working on and everything that I enjoyed doing. So design, which is my profession. And then when it comes to designing, you're always working on digital products, so code is also a big part of it. And I've always had personal interest in online communities. Before stumbling upon Web3 as a whole, maybe even much earlier, maybe 15 years ago now, I stumbled upon a Facebook group for Arsenal Football Club fans. I had 60,000 people in it at the time, and kind of I wasted enough of my life in that group to become one of 7 or 8 admins. Made some lifelong friends that I still have never spoken to by voice. And I think there's so much comfort, especially if you're an introvert like me, in making online friendships that you can kind of, turn on when you need to and then completely turn off when you don't. So between online communities, design, and code, it all just made a lot of sense. And like you, I just knew I had to take part. So yeah, that's why I came here.
It seems like an easy thing to transition into, because design is pretty much what the NFT world is all about initially, right? And that's kind of what drew me to the NFT world so easily. It's just I love art. I love all types of art. My kids are into art. I've been into art, and so something that goes along with technology and art, I'm oh my god, I'm sold. sold is a very technical term because I bought every NFT I could possibly try to collect, and it wasn't anything to sell into profit. It was just like I like NFTs, and I was like enjoying the minting process. It was just a unique experience, and it's kind of like opening up those fresh cards that you collect, right? You buy like baseball cards or hockey cards or football cards. It's the same kind of feeling. You're like, man, this is awesome, and that took us into like the bull run of NFT world, and the rest is history. But I think it's just the whole experience of minting and the new novel technology and artwork associated with it. It was such an awesome thing, and I'm thankful that I was a part of the early stages of that. Seeing it going from next to nothing to being euphoric back to being where we are a few months ago, which was essentially at the very, very bottom, where this interest was at the highest point. So I'm glad that we've kind of managed to weather the storm and get to this point, really, because it was so easy to quit, don't you think?
It is easier to quit, I'll tell you that much. Whether you're a trader or whether you're a founder, the harder thing to do is to stay. I don't think we talk about this enough, and I think as an industry we actually make it really easy on the people that leave and really hard on the people that stay. But I also get it. But it most definitely is just a lot easier to be like, you know what, I'm done with the space, I'm out, I'm gonna go back to my normal life, I'll just deactivate my Twitter, and none of this happened. But I think there's something to be said for everybody that stuck around, and I don't agree with the notion that people stuck around because their bags were down. I think at the end of the day, almost all of us in Web3 do have lives outside it, and I think people don't get enough credit for not selling their houses and buying NFTs. I think the majority here understand the experimental nature of the space. So for people that stayed, I think we had like a massive distillation of who wants to be here. And I think that's kind of given us a new base to build upon. And as you said, 2 months ago, it was the absolute rock bottom for NFTs, but I think we can just go straight into it. In the past 2 months, we've had some of the most bullish announcements from projects, starting with Klaynos today and Gameloft, which is massive. And then, Doodles a couple of days ago, and then Yuga just basically just ramping everything up. You kind of watch the response, and the response has been validation rather than euphoria. So the kind of announcements that are being made. Oop. Did you lose me, or am I still there?
No, you're still there. Oh, I got you. Keep going.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you're talking about the euphoria. Yeah.
Yeah, so like a little while ago, 2 years ago, if those announcements were made, the floor price would have 10x, 20x, 50x. But what we've seen is that what has managed to happen is, yes, a little bit of an increase, but it's not crazy. And I don't know how people are looking at it, but from my side, I feel like it's a lot more sustainable, and a lot less, I don't know what word to use. But I do feel like what's happening at the moment is what I'm going to call the validation phase. It's really, really interesting. And I do think this is how a more mature industry reacts. So there's a lot of positives to take from what's happened in the last month, even though some traders would like it, to 10x or whatever. But I think there's a lot of health in there.
Yeah, I agree with you in that sense because, every cycle has the euphoria cycle, right? And so I think people forget that, we need to eliminate those people that are buying at the euphoric cycle levels. And once we eliminate those people, we will have the true holders. That even happened in crypto when we were looking at the cycles in the past, where, even Bitcoin at its all-time once at 1,200 per coin, was, you know, the epitome of a bubble, right? And so when it got down to, again, like, I forget what the number was, like $100 or $150, those naysayers were all gone, and they were never come back. Frankly, they'd probably come back at the height of the cycle again. So I think that's expected in a lot of the NFT sector as well, where we have, you know, the people that were truly not there for the art, for the tools, for the community, for the brand. They're not going to come back anyway. They're going to come back only when, I guess, when people are speculating on the asset, they'll come back and they'll say, okay, well, I want to 10x this product. Therefore, I'm going to start, you know, trying to influence the market by shilling it into Discords again, shilling it on Twitter, you know, and trying to maximize profit that way. But I think, you know, we need to eliminate them first before we can go up higher, actually. So I think we're there now.
I do think so too. I think we are there now. And as I said, it is a positive for the space as a whole. I think we've also just had a massive reset of expectations versus reality. And I will straight up tell you that whatever was happening 2.5 years ago is as unique as COVID itself. I'll explain. The NFT boom happened at a time where everyone was kind of completely stuck indoors. You know, we were all glued to our screens, and a lot of the factors that made it what it is are kind of no longer there. And I think most importantly, it is the speculative part. So I'll explain. If we look at NFTs altogether at the moment, and we look at everyone that is leading the charge, it feels like what is happening today is everyone is striving for legitimacy rather than speculation. And I think the only projects that have managed to survive are ones that have built further into that route. You look at Pudgy Penguins with their Giphy account, you look at Azuki with Anime 2.0, and technically, if you kind of step back and think, well, everyone is doing very quote-unquote Web 2 things, right? And I think there's a lot less speculation when it comes to that, but the clarity is very healthy for those communities that have formed around this thing that, you know, kind of came to pass in a massively speculative boom. But as you said, I think we've found stability. And what I will say is it's probably going to be incredibly difficult to have that type of speculation again for NFTs unless there is a super unique use case. So for example, if you break into the space today with some incredible IP, the speculation on IP success is kind of, it's got a ceiling, and that ceiling is Pudgies. And so you kind of were like, all right, if I'm a trader, I know what is the maximum amount of financial value that the space attributes to this type of Web3 company. And then, you know, you can apply the same thing to anime, technology, etc., etc. Everything has a ceiling because there's no more exploration into what these things can become, which is why you saw the flurry into meme coins, which had no ceiling, had no precedent. It was entirely new, and we had that massive boom again. And I think we got to a place where once the writing was on the wall for coins, everyone started losing interest because we've created ceilings. So a meme coin that does 1, 2, 3, 4 is expected to peak at X amount. And so the moment you start adding logic, speculation kind of goes down the drain. And so when it comes to NFTs, let's talk about Kleinos again. They released their roadmap, roar map, they called it, 7 or 10 days ago. And yes, that's resulted in a 2x in their floor price. And then today they delivered on one of the nuggets that was in there. So that resulted in people not selling the news rather than another 10x or 50x. And again, once you step back a little bit and look at that, I think we have a much healthier relationships with our NFTs. And I will say that kind of environment actually helps teams, because what we had before with the immense amount of pressure and FUD just was not healthy for anyone.
I mean, I have so many follow-up questions. I don't even know where to start. Let's ask you about the pressure in general. especially when the assets themselves, the NFTs themselves, were highly speculative. They were not indexed into anything tangible yet because they were brand new assets. How much pressure did you get from investors, but not the fly by night investors? I mean, true investors like the whales that are buying into the project, the high valuation levels, from them specifically in terms of where your direction was going with the IP, with the OK Bears brand, and everything else. Did you get a lot of pushback from them specifically, or no?
Oh, massive pushback. I think it our story was kind of clear to see, but I think we're notorious for not listening, quote unquote, to whales. And I will say, I think there are two kinds of whales. But more importantly, it's about the reason for being a whale or a reason for holding. So I'll explain. If you do like a project and you're there for the community and the potential, it kind of defies logic to hold 500 or 600 of these things. Because if you're there for participation, you really don't need that much. So once somebody creates a haul of that many NFTs, they are clearly treating it as a share. Right? That's what they have in their own mind. They're buying it to resell it. You are never a whale that's going to hold on to everything, because all you need is one profile picture and some exposure to a project, and really you can enjoy the entire journey. But if you are hoarding an amount of NFTs, then that only means you're going to sell it later. There's no other explanation for why you would hold that many. And once you go down that route, it becomes increasingly difficult to reward someone that has 5% or 10% of the supply, because this is a project that's created for 10,000 people, 5,000 people. And so it becomes incredibly difficult to make those people happy with anything other than massive ROI so that they can sell on. And I think from the onset, that is something that I kind of identified as a bit of a weakness. And unfortunately for us, because of our come up, we had people just ape into bears like, there was no tomorrow. And then when they kind of bought in, they didn't really have any understanding of who the team is, what's being built here. What they saw is, shit, this thing resembles Bored Apes, but we can recognize the strength in the brand and then the marketability and licensing opportunity. So we're going to go all in. But I think with that, they've kind of failed to understand, okay, how is this project intending on doing things? And that's where the clash started. And I think one of the hardest things for me to do was say no to a lot of whales that, are really well known in other projects, and they would come in and they're like, yo, I will sweep your floor right now, but you need to tell me what's coming in the next 3 to 6 months. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Like, I don't think that is ethical. I think that puts everybody else at a disadvantage. And genuinely, if you don't like what we're doing today, don't ape in today. And that is not a response that many projects were giving. And so that really just didn't put us into any good stead with.
It's unfair to you. It's completely unfair to you too, because it's unfortunate that even with a whale sweeping, the conditions are not ripe to have any bullish activity, right? So that won't really do anything, even if they wanted to do that. It's all about timing the market. So one of the things I learned a long time ago is companies would like to do is they like to present bullish news articles or bullish events during the best cases during the market. So if the market is bearish, you don't produce a lot of positive bits of information for the either shareholders or investors, because it's not going to really do much, right? The market is going to sell off regardless of the news, so it's not going to really do anything. So when you're working on something, you have all these positive things to roll out and explain and get people hyped for. It's terrible to do it in a bear market because it won't matter, right? You can say you cured AIDS and they'll still sell the NFTs, right? Like it doesn't matter. So it's unfair to you because like you're working on the IP, you're trying to curate this amazing IP, and it's unfortunate we have people that are in the whale group trying to pump their own bags essentially, not really thinking about the project themselves, the community. They're just looking to have an exit of a higher valuation, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it is most definitely. I will say this though. I don't think you can begrudge traders of any size. Yeah, because I think there is how our projects came to exist. But I think you just got to look at today, and I don't talk about this enough, but like I obsess over charts and I watch other projects and what happens during announcements and all the rest of it, just so we can take a data-driven approach to our recovery as OK Bears, because we've got a long road ahead. And again, just like looking at what's happening today with big announcements, what tends to happen is you will see a massive spike in volume if there is a bullish announcement. But what that does is it suppresses the floor. Now, why that is happening is because for the people that have been treating NFTs as, quote unquote, share equivalents, every time there's bullish announcement, it is a good time for them to exit. Okay, especially the ones that bought these NFTs at 4 or 5x the value and are just trying to recoup losses. And so what ends up happening is news comes in, there is enough buy pressure to offset the sell pressure, and what you have is stability in the floor, which again is extremely healthy, because what we're doing here is we're transitioning people who hold shares into people who are fans. And that's just something that continuously needs to happen. So what you end up seeing is after the announcement for 3-4 days, the floors tend to dip a little bit, but then they'll stabilize at a place where they were a little bit higher than before the entire news happened. And I think it's going to be a painful process of, as you said, titrating news to control floor price rise. Because if you go all in and you have a massive spike, then you're going to have a massive sell-off. But if you do it incrementally, little by little, then you're going to provide the exit that traders need, and then also provide the entrance for people who are genuinely looking at these things entirely differently to how the traders were looking at them 2.5 years ago. So that's
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it depends, and it's like, when we're looking at setups, usually we tell every trader that is following along to look for areas where there's a long consolidation, right? And that's where entries are usually found. Like even looking at the chart right now on the screen, I can see that we're at the very, very bottom of this long consolidation, which actually appeared to be 2 years in the making. It feels like from 23 to now, we're still there, and obviously I'm talking a US dollar price, and I think speculation is going to come back. I think, like you said about Peggy Penguins being almost like an index for all the other IPs to look after. I think it's important because I always talk about that kind of stuff. I say, we got to look at leaders in each category to determine what the valuation is going to be for supplementary, complementary projects.
Exactly.
So, for example, in this instance, if the Pudgy Penguins are the index, is it going to move? And if it does, what else is moving? And so if the market cap of, say, Pudgy Penguins is at, I don't know, say 100 million, all right, now we can look around and say, okay, who's taking the reign to be like the number 2 overall, number 3 overall, and so on and so forth. So, that's the way I look at most things. And so when I'm trying to figure out, for example, the OK Bear price for NFT, where is that going to be? Whether it's going to be as high as a Dgenz, or maybe it's going to be as high as, I don't know, Azuki or whatever. We got to understand where they are, right? Because they're not in the same category, especially now that we are finding different lanes for individual projects.
Exactly.
You've successfully found your own lane. Other projects are still trying to find that. And it takes a while to get there. It's not easy.
No, and this is how you can see it in real time that an industry is being built, right? Because of the fact that we now have different tracks. So previously, it would have been extremely hard to kind of define, okay, what is a Web3 project? I mean, what is Web3 altogether, right? But now it's becoming a lot clearer, especially for NFT collections, because people are now demanding, okay, which lane are you operating in? And then based on that, there is a group of people that have an appreciation for that lane and others that don't. And it makes it a lot easier for people to buy in very heavily informed. And so if we continue, like we stick down the IP route, you will look at Pudgies who are, leading the space. And I think if you were to exceed Pudgies, then you're going to need to do something that they haven't done. So in this case, everyone is trying to play the content game, okay, bears included. But if the ceiling of that is, 1.5 million followers, millions of views on each of your reels, and hopefully millions of uses of your GIFs, and that's great. But like if you get that far, then Pudgies are already there at the top of the food chain. And so what else are you going to do? And I think even within projects themselves, there seems to be a local ceiling. So like, let's talk about Pudgies, for example. The first time they announced the toy deal, it was humongous, right? The next time they announced the reorder from Walmart, that news, hovered on the timeline for less than a day. But from a business perspective, the second order is incredibly bullish and very hard to do. All of us have managed our first wins, but it's who's putting them consistently on the board and consistently in the vision that they're building. However, consistency does not seem exciting for the space. So there's always this need for reinvention, even within the project itself. So after a certain moment, and I think this got a lot to do with people's attention spans, but people will look at you like, all right, great, you got this win, amazing. Oh, you got a second order, cool. But like, what else is coming? Because we've seen the price rise of what that could do. So now we need something new to be able to break the ceiling. And I think specifically for us, for OK Bears, and it's pretty exciting to be able to talk to you about this because I haven't touched on it at all, and it's something that will, come out in the next 2 to 4 weeks. But for us specifically, I don't think we will be able to achieve the highs that we had before by following someone else's path. And so, yes, we're creating content on Instagram, but that is not our end game. Like, we're not looking to get toys in stores. We're not looking to make a game. And that is amazing for everyone. But I think we needed to be completely honest with where we think we can capture a top spot in the space and then rally people around us without stepping on toes. And I'll pause a little bit, but I do want to talk about the stepping on toes situation. But
yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, was that? No, I was gonna say, like, was that part of the situation that you had with your reorg of the core members? Because it seems like you guys were lacking that full direction, and I think you took the reins and said, we're going this route. Is that complete to say that this happened?
Yes. I think for the previous crew or team, it was about continuing to experiment in areas and then finding a clear indication and then growing in that direction. And I'll be completely honest, I got bored because that is a 2-3 year long game. And I just don't think you can operate like that as a Web3 project. I think if you want to go down that route, you really just cannot keep the attention on you. And I think if you lose attention in Web3, you die. And it becomes incredibly hard to bring it back, regardless of the accomplishments. And so just looking at the entire landscape, I've kind of have classified industries and how they're related to projects in the space. So for example, if I ask you, which industry do you think of when I mention this project? Let's play a game. I'm going to ask you 6 or 7 or 8 projects, and I want you to think the industry that comes to mind first. They're all Web3, so that's the baseline. Okay, cool. Bored Apes and Yuga Labs.
It has to be metaverse and gaming. Is that correct?
All right, cool. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, but it's a really interesting exercise to go through. Doodles.
Exactly. Yeah. It has to be entertainment.
Okay. Pudgies.
Has to be plushies and physicals or fidgetals. I think that's the way to go.
Clanos.
So now we know Klanos is definitely going the IP route of making games, which is actually so bullish. I can't believe that it's happening. But
yeah, we needed a Solana team that can raise the bar on that front.
Yeah, deliver. Yeah, that was super bullish today.
Mad Lads.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I'm thinking like wallet and exchange. Is that it?
Tech. Exactly.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Let's keep going with a few more. Azuki.
Azuki has to be like the I guess it's all anime at this point, right?
There
so it's
you
gotta
go.
be like entertainment, anime, could be.
So you see
so many routes with their own IP.
So you see how the industry leaders have picked a lane and have laser focused on it, right? And if you look at all these projects that I asked you about, they're all the way up there. I would also I'll ask you one last one, because I don't think it's fair to forget them. But Dgods.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what their lane is.
Try.
I think it's just parties. Is that it? Is it just like community?
There you go. Community. I think they've got one of the best.
I was in their community a while ago. I just didn't feel like they gave me anything that is tangible. So I thought, okay, well, where's this exclusive access that you have to have by having this NFT? There was actually none, unfortunately, not for me. But I'm sure it was for some other people. But
fair enough. But your fallback went parties and community, right? And it's the thing here is, if I'm not interested in gaming, I'm not going to be interested in the projects that have the gaming sector. If I don't enjoy parties and community and high action, I wouldn't enjoy Dgods. However, it is so important to be able to answer that question. But then I think where growth will happen is if you're able to ask what is okay and then come up with an answer that isn't any of the others. I think if we are able to do that, then we can rally Web3 behind us as the leaders of Web3 in X. And as long as that X is not overarching the top communities in the space, then it becomes much easier to, number one, work with them. Number two, be able to lead without stepping on toes. Because the last thing you want is to be like, yo, we're going to be the next big IP play. When you have half the people in your community that hold Pudgy Penguins and Klanos, and they're like, well, why, right? And so that's really been the absolute root of like where we wanted to go next for us. I think we needed to carve our own niche. And I do think we're really close.
So what is your X? If you want to dive into that, what is your X? Because I think I know the answer, but I want to hear from you. What is your X? Because I think you finally found it, and I think you're gonna probably release something really soon. So I'm looking forward to hearing your answer.
Yeah. So with that, it's when people look at OK, or when they first saw our come up, there was always this. They've got brand. They've got a strong brand. They got strong branding. Unfortunately, that word is not enough to define a project, because you can have strong branding when it comes to entertainment, i.e. Doodles, when it comes to gaming, i.e. Yuga, when it comes to it's not an area, right? It's more a measure of success. So if you manage to create a strong brand in an area, then you become a leader in that area. And so for us, it was just about like looking at all the indicators, but more importantly, using some things that like I haven't spoken about previously. So with our work with IMG, 99% of all the things that came to the table were apparel related. Zara came through. We have another one coming through soon, not as big as Zara, but really good for that progress. we were in deep talks, closely with Ralph Lauren and a bunch of others, and I kind of stepped back and I'm like, what are they all seeing that I'm not seeing, or that the team is not seeing, to double down on that? And I don't think I have the answer when it came to others, but for me, I think the absolute strength in the relationship between these bears and people choosing to use them as profile pictures is a direct indication of the strength that we can have in identity. And so your digital identity is, really easy. It's your profile picture, your community. But nothing is a better signifier of identity than apparel in the real world. Because that's what we use to express who we are and to communicate what we think just by, people looking at us. I think where we are heading and where we're going.
I was losing you there, guys. You're okay? Did you fall into a tub?
I am back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're better. A little bit further away from the mic, but we still hear you.
All right, give me 1 sec.
Let's take a moment. If you have had a chance to put a comment in the stream, we're reading all the comments. So if you have a question, Kais or Taras, please send in the comments and we'll read them and even post them like this. Dip, thank you very much for the comment. We'll go like this as well. Wagbo for all the holders, and of course, if you're not a holder of or either Dgenz or OK Bears, this is a great opportunity to do that right now. We were sharing the screen for the chart of OK Bears at 3.3 Sol. I mean, you can't go wrong. But yes, continue. Sorry, guys, go on.
Yes, I'm back. So you can hear me fine, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. So I think where we're going to carve out the niche is in the area where most of the team members have big expertise in, and it's, brand and identity, and then just looking at who else is on our table and what's their strength points. And so whether it's IMG or brand design, it really is all pointing towards that one direction, which is apparel. Now there's what kind of apparel, who's your target audience, what are you communicating? Those are all the things that will come out soon. And it starts with the release of the shop and what we're calling the trial collection, which really was just a learning curve for us. But it's what comes after that I think I'm just super excited about.
So another question about that is essentially almost tied into the OK Dogs, for example, is, I noticed during the mint process, there's a lot of cool things, cool traits that I saw on the dogs themselves. And I thought, you guys are getting into the apparel business because this clearly showcases all types of apparel. Lots of hoodies, lots of hats, scarves, whatever. Is that what you're trying to do with the OK Dogs?
Yes. A lot of the traits that are on the dogs were made with apparel in mind. We will be bringing a lot of these traits to life. But again, it's everything that we were doing previously is trying to discover what's our lane. And it's no coincidence that our biggest viral moment in Web3 post-mint has been the hoodie video. And then our most bullish announcement was the Zara collab. And then most importantly, if I look at Web3 today, and if I ask you who is the next apparel company to come out of Web3, or who is the next Supreme, do any projects come to mind?
Yeah, none. And that's why it feels like you picked that lane properly, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of one, not even one Web3 project in either ETH or Solana or any of the chains that are just prominently, front center. We're the apparel business company, right? And I think this lane is perfect for you and all the holders to showcase. I want some merch or apparel I got to get out of the business. So saying merch, but apparel. I want some hats. I want some hoodies. I think you fit a style that I like, and I think a lot of people will too. I think you really hit the mark with some of the stuff you already released. Do you have any other previews of things you're going to release in the apparel store?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of like slowly teasing, for the past 2 days. We're putting some stuff out, and if I want to go into like a little bit of a deeper dive into like the OK apparel, I would say that there are three different core pillars. The first one is like essential wear, which is really subtle clothing that you can wear while you're living life. Whether you're out on a weekend, or whether you're just hanging out with friends, or whether you're going to work. It's that really subtle, tiny little OK logo, which in itself carries the message of the brand through it. So like, if you think about apparel, it is actually the biggest industry after the food industry, and it is 10 times bigger than the entertainment industry, just overall. So like, that's the first part. So technically everyone in the entire world wears clothes. You can't say the same thing about gaming. You can't say the same thing about cartoons. You can only say the same thing about food, right? So it is an industry that is ubiquitous. And then the second part is, OK, as a brand name, is universal. It does not need explanation. You automatically understand, what is this brand trying to tell me? It's super simple. You don't need anything on the shirt other than the word itself. And then whether you're in China, whether you're in America, whether you're in the Arab world, whether you're in Spanish countries, everyone understands it. So it kind of gives us a massive base to build from, especially when you're kind of building on social media, because you don't need, like, our target audience is so wide. So there's just a lot there that is very exciting to me about the OK brand. So you've got your essentials, which are subtle and calm, and then you've got the a second pillar, which is characters. So people who enjoy wearing prints on clothes. We do have an incredible baseline with both the bears and the dogs. We've done some amazing concept art that would not look out of place on a Nike t-shirt. So that's the second one. The third one is one that I'm extremely excited about, but that replicates the feeling of minting, but with clothing, so that we can continue to produce excitement every 6 to 8 weeks, super hyper limited drop that comes with its own concept, with its own ad campaign. And it'll be a little bit pricier, but those are your collector's items. And then each one of those has a specific marketing funnel. And more importantly, which is something that we're really missing for OK Bears, but the industry as a whole, I think we've just kind of completely ignored traditional marketing. And it's really hard because it's incredibly hard to advertise NFTs on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. You have to jump through so many hoops. But advertising clothing is just a no-brainer. And so if we use those funnels to then bring people into our brand, and from there into Web3, it opens up massive possibilities that are only really limited with budgets. And so I'm not really counting on hacking the Instagram algorithm for content. I'm not, racking my brain with unknowns. I'm like, all right, a sales funnel is something that is replicable, and it only grows bigger with the amount of dollars that you put behind it. So once you've refined your funnel, growth is not accidental. It just depends on how hard you're willing to go. So I'm incredibly excited by it. I love that we found a place for the NFTs to feature. And then the next part to discuss really is what's in it for holders, which is something that I'm also incredibly excited about. But we can talk about it a bit later.
Yeah, merch is such an easy W, right? Again, look at me go with merch again. Apparel. Because like it's so easy to like showcase, right? Like anybody, the camera or anybody wearing clothing can just put something on, walk around the city, or sit in front of a camera. Say you're doing a podcast and you're wearing an OK hat, right? Like that's easy advertising right there,
Yes. Yes.
And so like it essentially sells itself. So all you need to do is, like you said, make sure the apparel is, very specific, the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it showcases the brand. And the idea of having limited drops is incredible. It reminds me of like that Supreme brand where they're highly exclusive. You can't get to it. It has a marketing campaign behind it, and only a few selected people will be able to do it. And then the resale value of just that apparel goes up exponentially. So, and of course,
100%.
The attraction that it gets towards that the IP, the OK brand, is also incredible.
And it becomes super simple, right? Because, hey, do you want exclusive access to these drops? Great, then you got to become a member. All right, what do I need to do? Go buy a bear or a dog. It's as simple as that. So if you want access, if we manage to kill it in the apparel industry, it becomes extremely easy to justify a large entry price through an NFT so that you can get early access to those limited drops, to those collabs. And for our community, they automatically get that. However, no part of this plan looks at community as customers or fans. And I think that's also what I'm super excited about. Because that is something that we couldn't align on with the previous leadership. But I think defining community as fans is just like a massive L. I think you lose out on a lot of the involvement that they're willing to put in. But it becomes limiting when you're an IP play, okay? Because what you're saying here is, all right, we're doing things around these cartoons. Well, how many people in my community know how to draw cartoons? How many know how to animate? I don't, right? Yeah. So like, I'm the founder of the project. I cannot draw a bear. I need 8 artists to pump out the content that they do on a regular basis. And so you're like, all right, great. So this is a decentralized brand. I love it, but I don't have the talent to be part of it. So I'm reduced to being a fan of it. However, you didn't even need me to say it. You said it straight away. If you're pushing apparel, everyone has a camera phone. And everyone takes pictures of themselves.
Exactly.
So
you promote the brand without even doing anything.
100%. So it's the ultimate neutralizer. So it's like, well, how do I take part? Easy. Number one, if you're a holder, you get everything on a discount. And your discount rises depending on how much you hold. So that's the first thing. You are always provided with access to these products at a lower price because you are not our target audience. You are our team. And we need you in this apparel, in the real world, spreading the message. So we want to make it accessible for you. The pink hoodie, the OK hoodie, was not at an accessible price, right? And I think that's also really important to understand where to position OK, because it is completely not OK to build a luxury brand called OK. That is not accessible to people, right? The need for exclusivity can be captured with one pillar of the brand, but it shouldn't be the whole brand. So this is not a luxury brand. This is a lifewear brand. We want your friends outside in the real world to be able to afford it. So the first step is not looking at holders as your customer, but looking at them as your team and making these things accessible to them. That's number one. Number two, when we're building the communication strategy for this apparel brand, again, it is called OK. So I don't personally think it's okay to treat it like a unrealistic hyper fashion brand where all you see is models that are looking perfect, whether it's men or women, does not care. This is a real brand for real people. And guess what? 99% of people on the internet are that, right? And so we are already starting with a massive community, around 300 to 400 people that are actively engaging on our platform 3 on a daily basis. And so what we're going to be adding to that is a content release form, which allows you to go and post these things, but also that's what all our marketing is going to be built on. So if we find stuff that we are going to repost or work with, then we'll pay you for it. And so again, you become our creator, and all you need to create is a camera phone. That's it. And so what we'll be able to do is build up a brand in the real world, showcasing only real people that love the brand. And so you kind of, again, you give laser focus to the entire community. It was like, all right, what do I need to do? Well, grab a t-shirt and just spread the word, and you go from there. And so you've got that second pillar, which is, okay, what do I do if I'm a single community member? What's in it for me? But then you think bigger as well. Like when you look at the internet as a whole and decentralization, the whole dream was controlling supply chain. I remember in the early days, it's like, well, Amazon are going to have blockchain, eBay are going to have blockchain. It just makes so much sense. Well, guess what? They don't. And they don't, not because they don't know about it. It's because they don't deem it valuable to how they're doing things. However, that's another thing that can unlock a universal lifeware brand, because to be able to have dispatch centers in all around the world, it takes a massive amount of time. It takes so much legality. But where we're going with this is, if you're a holder in the real world and you have a registered business, then you can become a reseller. So we will provide you these things at a wholesale price, and then you will benefit from our marketing channels, and then we will point people to you in that specific country. And so suddenly you have a massive roadmap of expansion that does not require you to cannibalize the entire brand. And so that then becomes, all right, I'm either a small holder, I know how to push it. I'm a big holder with some investment, I know how to push it. And then when you bring all of this together and truly celebrate the people that are wearing it and the people that are pushing it, I genuinely think you start answering the what's in it for me question. And I think the moment that finally clicks for people, as well as the fact that we're not looking to step on toes. So I don't want to compete with Klaynos in mobile gaming. I don't want to compete with Pudgies in toys. We might put out a toy line, but that is not the core business. I would much rather get to a stage where in 2 to 3 years' time, it is as cool for Bored Apes to collaborate with OK on a clothing drop as it is for them to collaborate with Bape on a clothing drop. So that's kind of like the bigger vision. It all rolls out in the next 2 to 4 weeks. And yeah, I'm just excited for us to start experimenting with it and see how the community responds.
I love when you go on a roll. Like it was an epic, like 20-minute, like let's get into the weeds, what this IP is all about. I love it because I think a lot of holders are just waiting for your vision to be, in the front center of everything.
Yep.
And I think this is amazing. Like everything about it is amazing. I think you thought this through well in advance of everything that you just said, and it feels like you have a clear vision of what you expect this to be. And I like the idea of, if you love the brand so much, you want to be a reseller. Absolutely, you can do that, and this can have an extrapolating effect onto the brand where everyone's trying to obviously make money off of an amazing IP, and it will be much easier to showcase the IP through a whole bunch of resellers and everything else. The other thing I find amazing is that you put a lot of emphasis onto the limited edition drops and the need to have an NFT to have the access to that. And obviously that's going to take the value straight back into the NFT. And, we need that, backwards feedback into the NFT. Because again, like you said, what is it for the holders at the end of the day? This is all great, but what is it for holders? What's the point of a holder? And I think you've addressed that fairly well right now. Yeah.
I will say as well, we've kind of seen a way of communication that has tried to distance the success from the speculative value of the NFT. And on a personal level, I just don't think it's fair. I think we all got here because of people buying these NFTs, and I think it is a duty. I just got a message from somebody and I got distracted. It's the beauty is being able to embrace the function of the NFT and genuinely ask yourself the question: will people pay $1,000, $5,000 for this? And there's this experience that I had very recently with a kids show called Bluey. Are you familiar with it?
It must be an Aussie thing. I have no idea what Blue is.
All right, interesting. I'll take you on a super quick journey. I'll try not to make it 20 minutes. But Bluey is a cartoon about a dog, right? It's called Bluey, but the dog is a girl. She's got a smaller sister and a dad and a mom. And it launched, must be 3 or 4 years ago in Australia. And now it is absolutely all over the world. So if you've got kids between the age of like 4 and 7, it's on ABC, it's on Disney Plus, it's everywhere, right? So this is a brand that has completely permeated quote unquote Web 2. If you're a parent with kids, you likely know Bluey, but not only likely know Bluey, you love Bluey. So I think 2 years ago, they won Best TV Episodes in, I don't know which, like the Emmy Awards or whatever, the ones related to content, not my area of expertise. So when it comes to widespread love for IP in a fast-paced environment, Bluey is an excellent example, okay? Because nobody in Web3 has 25, 30, 40 years to go and rival Star Wars, right? That's ingrained in who we are as humans. So you look at the brands that have managed to make this emotional connection at a faster time. And then you look at that and you think, okay, around 3 months ago, Bluey announced an official $1 coin with the Australian government. So they released an actual physical mint of a dollar coin. They had a lottery. The coin cost $35. I think they limited them to 10,000. You know, it sounds a lot like an NFT, right? People clamored all over it. I was one of the very lucky ones to receive one of these coins. So I got into the lottery. I got one of the coins. And the first thing I thought to do was, I wonder what's their resale value for this, because the collectability is so highly desired. It was on the news. People were posting about it in Facebook groups. And the ceiling for one of the coins was $250. Okay, so hold that thought for a second, and then bring in Disney, who is making NFTs as we speak of Star Wars characters and other IP that we've grew up to love. Now look at how much Web 2 values that, and the value sits somewhere between $250 to $1,000. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, if you've got an emotional connection with a character, that does not mean shilling out thousands of dollars to own anything related to it. I am a massive Pokemon fan. Still play Pokemon Go. I would never pay $1,000 for a Pikachu NFT. Why? It's not going. All right, I can talk to the team. Cool. Don't really like. And then what? Unless there is a clear positioning for what this NFT provides, and then that needs to be speculative. Okay, and on a personal opinion, I think that is it's a really hard game to play, and I genuinely admire Luca and Pudgies for coming out and saying, we think people will pay $100,000 for an IP-based NFT in a year's time. And I hope that that's the case. But if I step back a little bit and think, what are people in the real world actually spending ungodly amounts of money on for access? Limited apparel is one of them. You can have 6 million examples of people buying a Nike shoe for $50 and then selling it for $50,000. And so that area of collectibles, of limited, of early access, of locked websites, of that seems like the easiest language to translate NFTs into. And as long as at the core, you're not going to be issuing more NFTs for people to become able to get that early access, as long as you're pointing them towards your bears, pointing them towards your dogs, pointing them towards your coins, whatever, then you have an illogical avenue of spend that people already spend a ton of money on. So again, that's just my own thesis of where we can go. And I'm just so happy that I can communicate this freely, that I can talk about it before it's announced. It's just a whole new way of dealing with community and news that the previous team just like couldn't embrace. So yeah, I'm just really excited for what's to come.
That's unfortunate they couldn't embrace that, because it sounds like a very logical point of view and a clear path forward, if you want to call it that, because it seems like, every management group or every core team group has to have a unified vision, and it's unfortunate that that was like a stumbling block for you guys to move that forward. Before we go further, I know Terry's got a question. Terry, you want to ask?
Yeah, sorry, I'm half distracted because you know me, I'm trading memes and stuff. I need this stuff like I need to have meme coins like directly dripped into my veins or something. Incidentally, I hope people have been following along because Quest has been rock star for us today. We got a 6x and we got 2-3x's out of it. If you're playing along with the calls, you're in the money. Really stoked, guys, to hear it. It sounds like you've super strategized the brand. I'm really impressed with that. One thing I do want to ask though is that, about your experience as a founder, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, I hear a lot that's just like, it's so thankless. You just take so much crap, right? And I mean, people love you, but you just get so much static and stuff. So I'm wondering, what is the most rewarding aspect of this project and being a founder?
Oh, it's most definitely the community, man. I tell you what, there are some people in the community that believe in me more than my own mother. It's you don't get that, and I refuse to think that it's back bias. I refuse to think that all of it is ingenuine. I genuinely believe in the power of online communities to transmit real feelings. And I think the most rewarding part is looking at our massive rise, looking at our horrendous fall, and then logging in every day, looking at my Google Analytics and seeing that there's 500 plus daily active users on 3. The fact that we tweet a picture of an embroidered logo and it gets 250 likes on Twitter, when partnership announcements from other collections aren't really able to get that kind of engagement. So and then also, I'm no stranger to the fact that for so many people, fuck man, the price of an OK Bear is downright embarrassing, right? Like, there's so many people that want to hide the fact that they hold these things, but still we're in the top 15 for profile pictures used around the globe. And what this tells you is that we've managed to connect with a bunch of people on a level that isn't strictly monetary. And that was enough for me to be like, you know what, guys, here's a buyout. It's totally fine. If you think I'm going into the abyss by like committing the next 5 years to making sure these people feel happy, heard, represented, and get wins, I'm okay with that. But I know what brand building takes. And if you have 500 crazy MFers right now at the absolute lowest point of the project, then that only bodes well for when things start going the right way.
I absolutely could not
just
agree
sharing
with that more.
Oh, go ahead, Terry. Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, I'm really fond of saying that community is a utility. That's it. It's the your network is your net worth thing, and like you mentioned earlier, guys, that's your sales team. Okay, your community is your best sales force. I feel like a lot of people just don't leverage that. They don't take care of, they don't cultivate the community as well as they could, and it's so critical, particularly in this market, right? I mean, you talk about you lose attention, you die. You need to keep that core community, thriving.
Yep. It's also like just really important to kind of step back and be honest with yourself. Look at the team and think, okay, what are they the best at, and how can I use that to level up? And in our case, we're advertisers by profession, we're brand designers by profession. And our art seems to have captured, a massive portion of the industry. So it's just about just letting loose. Don't be scared to commit. And if you fail, also don't be scared of the community, right? And I think that's also maybe a massive part of our failure previously, because we were building in fear, right? What will the community FUD and how can we make it FUD proof versus what can we make so that the community is happy? And I think the main change in this entire thing is just letting loose a little bit when it comes to conversation, right? Not everything needs to come as if we're some Fortune 500 company, because we're not, right? Maybe we had a decent come up at the start, but we flew too close to the sun, completely burned and crashed all the way down. And when you're in the trenches, you cannot continue to act like you're on a high horse. And we did that to the point where we lost so many of our active DAOs, so many of our community members, where I'm like, all right, at what fucking cost? And what is actually important? And so again, when I just step back, what is important for brand growth are brand loyalists. And since this is the way we want to go, the lifestyle brand route, we have all what is necessary to make a really solid play. And at the end, again, not step on toes and not compete with others, because I do believe Web3 needs to rise as one. And I think if we're all trying to go for the same pie, inevitably, it's going to create some unspoken rivalries and some small resentments. Because if you're going to tweet about how your reel made 10 million likes, you're going to have idiots in the comments saying, yeah, but you didn't make 10 others like my project. And then you're going to have your holders responding to them. And they're like, no. Like, it is great that these guys are doing amazing in that one path. Let's just not build on that path if we have a better place to build. And lucky for us, I think the name of the brand, I think the message behind the brand is incredibly unique. Like, again, we can play this game, but can you name what is OK Bear's slogan?
We are okay. It's an amazing slogan because it's so simple. It's something that everyone says already, right?
Okay.
Now, and I think it's very, very to the point, right?
Can you name 3 other slogans for 3 other projects in Web3?
No, I actually can't. I can't figure out any of the slogans. I don't know Pudgies. I don't know Klanos. I don't know. Do they even have them?
Some do, but that's exactly it. Again, so like I'm here asking questions rather than like laying down some revelations. And I just say for us, that really is what has set us apart. And it's about time we double down on that shit.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that you've kind of ironed out your image already within Web3, and it's now time to push forward, right? Let's move the needle towards that goal. I think any first iteration is usually gonna be, met with hype and then scrutiny and then disappointment, and it goes through all the channels of emotions. And I think we've hit a bottom with most NFT projects, including, which is funny, with Klanos. I remember Klanos going down to like, I think it was like 10 SOL or something like that, and they were like, well, that was a good ride, and then of course it's not a good ride because they're still going, they're still producing, they're still meeting with executives, and today was like the icing on the cake. They've announced they've met with Gameloft. They're producing an amazing game that everyone can play, and then all that feedback is going to go back to the NFTs itself, and maybe the holders will get something out of that. So
100%. And look, at the moment, their holders are getting joy out of that. Like, is it answering all the questions? No, but they don't have to, not yet. So if you look at their entire community, there is not one idiot out there that's like, what do I get for you guys signing with Gameloft? And that is such fucking progress, right? Because these guys love the project. They didn't panic sell. They did not FUD. They held on. They let the team execute their vision. And when the win came, nobody's like, oh, the floor is only up 5 SOL. Nobody cares. It's a collective celebration of an achievement. And I think it is not like, if you don't hold a Klano, you don't get to judge what's in it for their holders. And if this morning their holders are happy, then genuinely, we've had so much unhappiness in the past year, maybe year and a half with down only. That is a really good first step. So yeah, I'm just super excited for the future of leading projects in the space. I think the people that have stuck around are all genuinely trying to do what's best for holders, even if it looks like they're doing what's best for business first. And I'm just so happy not to see any cynicism on the timeline. I'm happy that we've moved past that.
Yeah, we kind of like kind of skimmed that out of the equation, and we're never gonna see those people at least for a while, because I think they will return when the good times are back and when people are making lots of money. But we can't focus on that. We got to focus on things that are in front of us. That's why, like, when I talk to founders all the time, I always tell them, like, hey, just make it to the end of the bear market. Just find a way to hold your ground, keep your community engaged, find something unique for them to do while they're waiting. And if you can't find a lane, that's okay. But still, curtail a nice community that people want to be a part of, that are they're there and enjoying their time with. Because every community is different. They all have their different things, and not many are still out there. It's been a harsh 2 years for a lot of these founders, so it's really tough to get through.
It's also like just really important to notice that, how they say, hey, you've got the Klano community and the DGOT community and the Bored Ape community. Bro, we're all these communities. Like, you wouldn't find one Dgen that only holds one project, right? And this is why you're seeing a mass celebration on an ecosystem-wide scale, even across blockchains. It's because there's just, we're a small number of people that believe. There's probably, like, if you do a Venn diagram, there's at least a 50% overlap between 10 of the communities, right? So you likely hold a Klano, an OKBear, a DGOT, I don't know, a Lil Pudgy, right? And so these holders, like, this is not sports where we've all pledged our lives to a single brand. And I think the way we've been doing it on the timeline previously is just so freaking stupid, right? Because if you, as a founder, and I was guilty of that in the early days, right? It's like, yo, we need you to post more, and we need you to shit post. And it's so sad that, some of my most successful tweets were taking shots at DGOTs, for example. But at the end of the day, half of my community held DGOTs. So what the fuck were we doing? Right?
Yeah.
And I think we've genuinely all kind of moved past that. You're seeing people celebrate what every project is doing, or at the very least, keeping their mouth shut if they don't like it, focusing on their own lane, trying to dig themselves out of, the little hole we all find ourselves in. And for what it's worth, I think the NFT space is in a much better place than it was 2 years ago. Unfortunately, that meant that many people had to be ruined in the process, but that is the nature of a highly speculative space that had absolutely no precedent and no rules. But all the signs coming are incredibly healthy for the next step.
It is dog eat dog at the end of the day, right? And so whatever comes out the other end is going to be successful. Last few questions before we call it a night. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. A lot of friends are with us today. I'm really happy that everyone's enjoying this conversation, because I think a lot of people are looking forward to just finding out where we are with OKBears and how we are going to see them in the future. The next 2 weeks for you, what do they look like? What are you looking forward to in the next 2 weeks?
So I'm looking forward to opening up the shop for holders to see how we think of them in the event of the shop opening. I'm also looking forward to be able to talk a lot more on the vision and next steps. I'm looking forward to one specific collab in the space that is not still 100% confirmed, but is exciting. And again, I think it'll put our apparel front and center. And again, because there's no stepping on toes, it makes it much easier to work with others now. So there's that. I'm looking forward to releasing a few more features on 3 that work on amplifying the community on Twitter. Overall, there's just so much rolling out, with the cherry like on top, which is finally announcing the vision, being able to talk about it, and then ensuring that all our community is able to repeat it in very simple words. Zagabond is doing a great job with Anime 2.0. It's 3 words, and I think we need to get there so that our community can, number 1, understand where we're going, and number 2, be able to talk about it with others. So yeah, it's just a lot of clarity, a couple of really cool announcements, and just more and more consolidation of the community until we can get to a place where we can, shoot for the stars.
I was always curious, what was your objective with the 3D bears? And I see it on the screen, and I'm curious, like, was the initial thought to just roll out something really unique and constructive for a lot of the holders to have to utilize in every which way, or is it there's a bigger play here with the 3D bears? And I'm guessing maybe 3D dogs. Was there something that's bigger in play?
Yeah, there is. So like, again, it's just thinking about IP and what people can do with it. And I think we will get to a place where AI is going to get strong enough for you to use your 3D avatar in ways that are currently not possible. And because identity is at the core of what OK is, whether that's digital identity or whether that's physical identity, that is the one word that ties everything together. So we needed to ensure that we are early when it comes to digital identity. You kind of take a little look at the space. There are not many projects that have provided holders with their digital identities that are fully rigged. I think, Yuga is one, a kid called Beast is another, but there are few and far between. And what that has allowed us to do, because there is a big push for Web3 gaming, it has allowed us to work with teams like Portal, Nifty Island, to ensure that OK Bears are top of mind when they launch their next few things. So it just makes it, I think, a lot more democratic for a holder to be able to have a 3D asset that they can manipulate. It is incredibly hard with 2D art because you're going to have to go and draw it. And again, it's just like, it's really hard. They were born specifically from our Fortnite engagement. So we had a bunch of bears in the Fortnite map, and then we just decided to carry it out and give it to everyone. I will say that the current usership is extremely low. And that, again, is because there is a barrier to creating, even if it's something like, logging onto a website and, moving your bear around. People want simpler. They want to be able to do it with their camera phone. And so I do think we're a little bit early. We have not pressed go on the 3D dogs. We are taking, a data-driven approach. We're looking at how people are using these things, how many people are using it, how many downloaded it, what kind of content is being put out before we decide when to venture into that. Although when we course correct, I think my ideal vision is for bears and dogs to be completely equal. And we're able to do that early on with things like tickets and access and discounts. That's the stuff that we can control. But eventually, I can see us making 3D dogs. I wouldn't know when. I think 3D bears are a little early, which is a really good thing. But I wouldn't say that they have been transformational, nor were they intended to be.
Yeah, I'm thinking like on the lines of like, what else can we use the 3D bears for? And I think the technology is not there yet. I think there's still a little bit of ways to go for us to get a handle on the tech. Because I'm thinking along the lines of, all right, so say, for example, you want to do a podcast that you want to look like a bear or like a dog. Mm-hmm. And you fully animated a bear and dog and it talks for you and everything else. I don't think we're there yet, but that would be something that people would definitely want to do and use. I mean, think about having like the blueprint trait bear, talking to you about mortgages. I don't know, it'll be something so fun, something interesting. Will capture the eye.
It will. I think you've seen Ready Player One.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay, I do think whether that excites you or not, or whether this is even a good topic for this specific chat, but we will get there or thereabouts. Now, again, there's not much to talk about, but being able to have a 3D avatar, I think, is going to become more of a necessity than people assume it is. And I don't think it's only just for gaming. I don't think everyone is going to be represented or want to be represented by, a bear or a dinosaur or an ape. But there's going to be a large portion of the public that would like to reinvent themselves in the digital world. Don't want to be exactly who they are. As you said, we're really early. And I'm just glad that we have those things ready. And then we've got our eyes open for any opportunity where we can kind of lead the space in integrating those characters, specifically, allowing all 10,000 bears to be used somewhere so that people can bring them to life. I love what you got done with their apes. We don't have anywhere near that kind of budget to build it for bears, but we'll see where we go.
That's amazing. I think we covered everything. I don't know about you, but I think I gotta digest all of that information. There's so much to think about. You gave a lot of these holders that are probably listening to this a lot of reason to just stay the course and see this through, because it's going to be exciting moving forward, especially to see where this IP is going to go with the apparel business, with the reseller business, with the limited drops and how that plays into it, to the even 3D bears, what happens with those. So there's lots to go, and we're just getting started. The NFT bull run is going to happen again. People underestimate this fact. It's going to happen again, and when the liquidity has a trickle down effect from tokens to NFTs, they'll come back again, and a lot of people are going to be surprised. A lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, I didn't know it was going to get this high." Well, you had your opportunity. You had your opportunity for bears at 3.3 souls. I share this screen all the time. But if you haven't had an opportunity to buy a bear right now, do not come to me or Kai's or anybody else and say, you know what should I do? Should I buy a bear at $2,000 per bear? You had your choice. You had the opportunity to buy them at this level. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Any parting words, Kai's, before we head out? I really appreciate this. This was such an amazing chat, by the way. I love getting into the weeds of every project to see, what ticks, what made you tick, what made you get into this.
Yeah, not really. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, guys.
No, I was just going to say no parting words. I think I've said enough. I do tend to talk a lot. So for anybody that went to sleep, I apologize. But I enjoyed the chat too.
I just wanted to say that, I'm ashamed to say I actually don't have an OK Bears, but after listening to you, I'm a big believer that not just community, but founders and owners make a huge part of a project. And after hearing you speak and talk passionately about the project, I've heard about it and, kind of kept my eye on them, but I didn't actually pull the trigger. And I think I'm going to now. I appreciate
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Thank you. I am guilty of not doing enough outreach, but you need to have crystal clarity to be able to do that, and it took longer than it needed to, but we're finally at a place where I can speak with normal words, and people would understand where we're going. And so I'm happy that I could convert your interest a little bit, and I'm just really excited to get my community a couple of wins, and then see if we can stake a claim to be among the top projects again, for whatever it is that we're trying to build.
Listen, guys, I've been shilling OK Bears for about 1.5 years. So, clearly people are not listening to me. Maybe they'll listen to you this time around. I've been telling them to buy, when they were 400, then when they were 2,000, again when 400. I just know what a good company and IP feels like, and I think you after talking to you a few times, to listen to you through town halls, especially now having seen the vision that you have, this is clearly a W for me, and I think I really want to see the other side of the NFT bull run, and so we can celebrate it really together. I think we should be doing that. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to be here regardless, so I hope we can celebrate soon.
I can attest to that chart. You have been pushing OK Bears for a while, even on when we were doing our live stream. you were always talking about it. And as you know, I started in the space in the NFT area. Then I kind of got away from it, but I am part of the Dgenz, obviously. It's my number one, and now OK Bears.
There you go.
Appreciate
See that? I just onboarded one more holder, guys, bit by bit. But for those that are in the chat, I promise that every single person that was in the chat will get an NFT, a DJ Boy NFT. So if you were in the chat, reach out to me in Discord, in the Discord of OK Bears, and send me your wallet. I will give you a DJ Boy NFT. I know who you are. I can see you in the chat, so don't you dare tell me otherwise. There is a recording. But I thank you all for being here. Thank you all for spending the time with us. It's our 52nd episode special. We've spent 52 weeks. I know Instalis is on mute right now, but I would tell her, like, can you fucking believe that? So we made it that far. I think episode 53 is going to be a banger. I'm looking forward to it. If you haven't had a chance to follow any of us on socials, the Dgenz Twitter account is right there. Give us a follow. If you haven't had a chance to follow me on Twitter, please do so now. And as well, if you don't follow OK Bears, shame on you. Shame on you for not following OK Bears. Okay? There you go. Make sure you follow. Yes, you can, of course.
Hi guys. Sorry, I was on mute because I'm with the baby and she's like, I didn't want to interrupt, but of course I know Bluey. When you were talking about Bluey, guys, I was like, of course Bluey is so good. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Chart for this amazing stream. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I know that Chart was going to talk to you for a while. He was trying to get you, and it's very difficult for the founders to find time, and especially time zones. So thank you so much for making it. I also want to thank Chart and our team, our incredible team that are with us all the time. Terry, I love you so much for being there, for giving all this analysis, for being there in the chats, for this meme coins that you are researching. Crypto Crazy, thank you so much for the support. Black Cat, thank you so much for being with us, being a part of the team. Vince, amazing community manager for us, amazing person to be around. Thank you so much all to our community members who always join at any time and being a part of this team. As Kais mentioned that you treat your holders as the part of the team, I also want to treat all of you as a part of our project as a team, because without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. Injustice, I know that he's worked with partner. Thank you so much. I know that he will be listening in. Thank you so much for everyone. I congratulate everyone with this 1 year of spaces, but now streams. Super exciting that everything is smooth. That's it. Will not hold anyone anymore. So happy.
Yeah, no rugging, right? Like that's the one thing that the X platform didn't give us is the weekly enjoyment of somebody being rugged at some point. So now we just have a massive stream. We can showcase what we're talking about. We can select who's going to speak and not speak and all that fun stuff. So exciting times for sure. Again, guys, thank you again. And let's see this out with an awesome tune that I made. How about that? See you guys next week. Bye.
Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Let's go. Dgenz Crypto Weekly. Let's go. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Ooh. Needing those gains so quickly. Oh, yeah. Let's break through the chains as we're so feeling strained. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Oh, yeah. Crypto Weekly, here we come. Making dollars on the run. Speaking freely, also dearly, quite clearly. Our shit coins are getting spun. Dreaming of Crypto Weekly. Ooh. Needing those gains so quickly. Oh, yeah. Let's break through the chains as we're so feeling strange. Dreaming of making everyone smile. Terry's got the magic touch, showing shit cause that are much to be desired and loved. Like teddy bears and hugs, we collect them all, no dumping. Anyone tell me when they're pumping? Do what you want,